Well, I haven't seen a lot of press. I don't tend to look that much these days, but I'd imagine that there would have been some criticism. I do think, though, that Australia have put together some really good passages of play.
Welcome to the fourth episode of In the Know with GIO. As always, Michael Checo joining us today. I'm Chris Danks. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Rugby Championship and specifically the Wallabies and their match this weekend against the world champions, the Springboks. First, we have to address what happened on Sunday. It was a beautiful day in Perth, but that's about where it stopped going right for the Wallabies, unfortunately. 38-21, lost to the All Blacks. What were your initial thoughts in the post-match?
Yeah, obviously disappointed because I thought it was really there for the offering in this game. You know, I think New Zealand had hesitated about coming over. The mindset, they were missing a few players, but they came out firing, and Australia certainly took the game as they have in all of the games. You know, they've taken the game physically to New Zealand, but maybe just in some of the key moments lacked a little bit of finesse to finish off the things that they had built throughout the game. You know, and I think I haven't seen a lot of press. I don't tend to look that much these days, but I'd imagine that there would have been some criticism. I do think, though, that Australia have put together some really good passages of play.
It seemed like a lot of the press has been focused around two main things, just about unforced errors, specifically in the breakdown lapses, but then also in the first up tackling seems to be getting most of the heat, I guess.
From my own time with the Australian team and even now, I think, and even in probably Super Rugby as well, if you're looking there, that's an issue that I think needed addressing. We need improvement, not addressing. I'm sure coaches are addressing it, and I addressed it when I was coaching in there as well. I think defensive play is what's costing us the opportunity to stay in, or costing Australia the opportunity to stay in games, because they're putting some very good bits of play together in attack. Just a little bit more stubborn, I suppose, in defence at key moments to keep the opposition neutralised, so they can't get points from their strong periods. Because one thing Australia is doing is it's scoring, albeit in different times of the game, but they're scoring points.
Should we just treat that would be two intercept tries on the weekend, 5 in the last 3 games. Is that just an anomaly? We just move on for it and recognise that it's happened?
I don't think you treat it as an anomaly. You look at it from a coaching point of view as, okay, is that playing in the sort of shape of our game? Is that where we want? Is that the sort of framework we want the magic to happen in, or is that how we want it to happen, or is it another way? And obviously, if you're getting intercepted, then it's not happening in the shape you want it to happen in.
The Springboks and the coming challenge of playing the world champions have won 15 of the last 18, 4 on the trot. You look at when they beat the British and Irish Lions, and then even when they played the Pumas. Did you see any opportunities in those forwards-dominated battles for the Wallabies to exploit?
The Wallabies will be a great battle in the scrum, I think. They've got a strong scrum, South Africa. Australia, I'd say, well, in the outcomes against New Zealand overall, the series probably were the better in the scrum. They got more scrum penalties in that way. New Zealand in the second test were quite strong in the scrum, and they've been quite solid, but it's more, not as far as I want to say dominant, not winning the scrum, but more from a penalties point of view, which most scrums seem to be ending up in these days, unfortunately, because there's a lot of great attacking opportunities from scrum for the crowd to see. But I think that'll be a good contest. The mauling contest will be an interesting one. I think that's going to be a challenge that Australia will be looking to step up to. I'm sure Dan McKellar, he's an expert in that area, and he'll do a lot of work on mauls, and also their attacking maul against the Springboks, because if you take them on in their strength and you can knock them down, then you'll get some bonuses for sure. Mentally as well, as far as the mental battle's concerned. It really depends, I suppose, mate, on how the game's played. if the ball's kept in. I would say Australia will probably look to keep the ball in field a fair bit from their kicking game, not try and kick the ball out into touch too much. Keep the game alive, try and keep the game moving, because, the Springboks do like to play the game from set piece to set piece and from penalty to penalty. So, which is, one thing you'll get with the Springboks, they're very attuned and aligned into the way they want to play. They've copped a fair bit of criticism from different people around the way they're playing their rugby, but the one thing you cannot fault is their commitment to their game style.
So we're looking at, obviously, shutting down the tight five. It's going to be one of the great challenges for them. Is there anything outside of that in terms of the game planning for Coach Rennie and Co you think that they'll be talking about during the week?
I think they'll definitely be talking about how the decisions around counter-attack. One of the huge areas you need to be effective will be in the kick reception. So the high kick reception, they'll work high kicks mainly from the halfback, but also from the 5'8". They're quite successful once they do contest the ball, whether it's a contest in the air and getting an error, or even once it's on the ground, trying to lock you in that corner and win a penalty to proceed downfield further. So they're very good at getting out of their own territory and putting the game back and putting you under pressure in that way. So, because they're great chasers of the ball and they've got no fear when they jump for it. Obviously, the blitz defense that they play, the question will be, do you want to go around it or do you want to try and go through it? Which is what most coaches oppose with a hard blitz defense like they play. Even though New Zealand are coming hard, they're not coming as hard as the Africans en masse, right? So it is a different challenge for backs to get ready for, and they really try to put pressure on your skills. And then there's always, mate, the opportunity of the classic double bluff. You think they're going to play a conservative game, and next thing they decide to open up. And they've got guys like Mapimpi and Cheslin Colby on the wings who can do damage. Damien Diolende. They've got a lot of threats in the wide channel. If they do decide that they're going to open it up, then you've also got to deal with that as well.
That should do us for this week. Michael, as always, thank you for joining us. Thanks to everyone else for joining us for the 4th episode of In the Know. Thanks to GIO. Enjoy the footy this weekend, and we'll see you next week.